The Stoics, ancient and modern, share this secret. Serenity is not reserved for saints, but available to all who are willing to practice. Will you embrace the truth that the key to lasting calm lies in your own reasoning mind? In that, embrace anger's hold, weakens, and freedom becomes your daily companion. When you react, you let others control you, but when you respond, you are in control. Reacting as most people do means giving your power away to others. It's an impulsive response based on your emotional state and often irrational. That's why the Stoics believed in pausing, assessing, and deciding how one wishes to engage with a situation or person. Much like a seasoned chess player, carefully considers each move and thoughtfully adapts to changing circumstances. So too should you strategize, assess every move, and make decisions aligned with your goals and beliefs. When people openly disrespect you or lose their temper after a disagreement or argument, it is a reflection of their character, not yours. It is their weakness, not yours. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not be overheard complaining, not even to yourself." The act of complaining, even in solitude, is more than a release of frustration, because when you complain, you're breeding a mindset of helplessness and weakness. You're directing the weapon of your words on yourself. Aurelius knew that being powerful is as much about perception as it is about reality. By not complaining, you project an image of strength and self-sufficiency, thereby perceiving yourself as more capable and powerful. Therefore, this Stoic rule is one of mental resilience to refrain from complaint and channel that energy into action, into overcoming obstacles, and into winning. It is weak men who burst out in anger. The Stoics believed, according to Stoicism, only fools think that anger is a sign of strength, a sign of dominance. But in reality, these fools fail to see that they are the ones being dominated, too weak to control mere feelings and emotions. The Stoics viewed such people as nothing more than wild beasts, acting on impulse rather than reason. Marcus Aurelius therefore said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength, because calmness helps a man maintain a rational state of mind, enabling him to control fleeting emotions and act with strength." Thus, the Stoic rule of the day is clear. A real man doesn't give way to anger and possesses strength, courage, and endurance. A lot of men today put on this facade of toughness, as if they're too strong to be vulnerable. They often think the Stoics were like that too, but they're wrong. The Stoics were authentically tough. They didn't need to fake it. They didn't fear rejection to the point of hiding their true selves. They didn't close off their hearts. They didn't think emotions made them weak, and they didn't let their ego stop them from learning and growing. Because ironically, this fear of looking weak ends up making us weak. This rigid mindset will kill your ability to seize real moments, real opportunities. Therefore, the Stoics would tell you, destroy your ego before it destroys you. The great thinkers of the past understood that the objects of our attention, be they people, ideas, or endeavors, inevitably influence our character. That's why you must guard your attention with the utmost care, allowing entry only to those worthy of influencing your mind. Have you ever found yourself at the sharp end of disrespect? How did it make you feel? Frustrated, angry, or did it perhaps make you question your own worth? What if I told you that there's a way to handle such situations with the calm assurance of a king, unfazed and even strengthened by the experience? As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." Good character is defined by not only helping yourself, but also, and more importantly, by helping others. Being a force of good for other people is, in the eyes of the Stoics, our duty. This may involve your closest relatives or a wider audience. It's not about the quantity, but the quality of help provided. How many times have you allowed another person's careless words to stir a storm in your chest, twisting your calm into chaos and leaving you with nothing but regret. Ask yourself, is it truly worth surrendering? Your inner tranquility to a stranger's passing remark, or to a friend's unthinking slight? The Stoics knew that nothing external holds the power to shatter the fortress of your mind unless you give it permission, and this realization can reshape your entire existence. Consider the quiet strength of those who stand unmoved when faced with petty insults, as if their souls are anchored deep beneath shifting sands. Untouchable by the surface winds will you learn to become like them, to break free from the chains of reaction and reclaim the mastery over your moods. The Stoics, both ancient and modern, beckon you to rise above of the fray, to see insults as echoes in a distant canyon, fading into silence. If you pause, breathe, and remember that you are the gatekeeper of your own peace, you can begin a journey where anger simply loses its grip, falling away like dust in the evening light. What if in the space between hearing a sharp remark and your response, you could weave a moment of stillness, allowing wisdom to guide you rather than impulse? The Stoic believed that we own our reactions, that we can pause and consider whether anger will serve any noble purpose. Imagine anger as a wild creature at the edge of your mind's forest. It can be tamed, it can be observed, it can be allowed to wander off without harming you. Will you let your soul become a peaceful clearing, where insults pass like gentle breezes, never tearing down the branches of your confidence? The Stoics invite you to see every challenged person as a teacher, offering you a chance to practice patience and grow in resilience. Modern Stoic thinkers echo these ancient sentiments, reminding us that it is an art to remain unbothered, a mastery of inner alchemy that turns potential torment into silence. Ask yourself, does it help to be angered by the words of someone who may not even understand the weight of what they say? With practice, you can find that quiet space within, where the world's noise cannot reach and anger no longer reigns. Perhaps you have wrestled with anger in the past, waiting to strike at any provocation. Are you ready to let it go? The Stoics were skilled observers of human nature, noting that anger often blinds us, tightening the heart, narrowing our vision, and making us forget our deeper values. Modern Stoics remind us that a composed response, or even silence, can reflect greater strength than any outburst could ever convey. Why let someone's careless words become a key that unlocks a chamber of pain inside you? If you hold the keys to your inner sanctum, then no one can barge in uninvited, and anger loses its once fearsome power. How might you respond if the next time a harsh voice stings your ears, you simply let the sound dissipate as if it were a distant echo vanishing into the horizon? The Stoics learned that what we call insults are often just sounds, vibrations of air passing through lips. Nothing more until we assign them weight. If you refrain from labeling these words as injuries, if you see them as neutral events without inherent meaning, do they still have the power to wound? Consider this: just as a feather cannot dent a stone, so too can a meaningless taunt fail to leave any lasting mark on your well-trained mind. The Stoics would ask, why hand over your calm to those who have no understanding of it, who could never repay your loss if it were stolen in the quiet space of your heart? You can weigh their words against your own well-being and see that the scales tip inevitably in favor of your peace. Will you choose to guard that peace, to cherish it as a priceless treasure that no slander can devalue? As you learn this art, you begin to stand taller, shining with a quiet dignity that no insult can dim. If a stranger mocks you, must you view it as a personal attack, or can you see it as a passing disturbance? The Stoics often emphasize that anger is a response learned over time, and what is learned can be unlearned with patience and practice. Modern Stoic thinkers add that breathing, pausing, and reflecting can break anger's chain before it ever tightens. Could you transform a spark of irritation into a spark of insight, shining a light on your own freedom. What if you were to greet every attempt to provoke you with a gentle curiosity, asking what truly lies behind the other person's anger or harshness? The Stoics might suggest that when we look deeper, we find that hostility often masks fear, insecurity, or misunderstanding. If you realize this, could you feel compassion rather than irritation, seeing their words as a symptom of suffering rather than a personal affront? As you sharpen your perceptive powers, the sting of insults fades, replaced by the understanding that we are all travelers, stumbling and learning as we go. The Stoics teach that instead of answering anger with anger, it is nobler and wiser to meet it with stillness, with a kind of inner smile that refuses to be darkened. Modern Stoic practitioners echo this, reminding us that we grow in stature and wisdom each time we choose calm over conflict. Will you seize these opportunities to practice patience, to let go of the impulse to strike back, and instead cultivate a garden of quiet resilience in doing so? You pave a path where bitterness cannot take root, and your days become lighter, clearer, and more free. Have you ever considered that those who bother you may actually be your greatest allies in developing unshakable peace? The Stoics would agree that adversity and annoyance can be transformed into stepping stones towards mastery of the self. If you approach these moments as tests, could you learn to welcome them as opportunities to practice patience, compassion, and restraint? Each time you resist the pull of anger, you strengthen the muscle of your inner calm, training it to hold steady against any storm. The Stoics understood that it is not a life free from challenges that breeds wisdom, but a life in which challenges are met with grace and understanding. In modern times, those who embrace Stoic principles still find that reframing difficulty as a teacher rather than an enemy allows them to remain tranquil. Will you see the harsh words of others as catalysts for your personal growth rather than triggers for your anger? With this perspective, your irritants become gifts, and nothing can rob you of your quiet strength. When a cutting remark pierces the silence, do you let it fester within you, or do you allow it to dissolve in the warmth of your understanding? The Stoics likened anger to a hidden poison, unnecessary and self-inflicted, easily avoided by changing your own perspective. If you shift your view and see such words as reflections of the speaker's state of mind, not of your worth, then the venom loses its potency. Could you learn to laugh softly at attempts to provoke you, not out of contempt, but out of gentle realization that you need not be shaken, just as one can learn to dismiss false alarms that once startled them? So too can you learn to disregard insults. The Stoics never claimed this path was effortless, only that it was possible and infinitely worth pursuing. Modern seekers say that with each moment of restraint, you become more stable, more self-possessed, and better prepared to face the unpredictable nature of human interaction. Why allow anyone's fleeting words to pull you away from the beautiful calm you have carefully cultivated? If you think about it, what good has ever come from anger toward another person's careless words? The Stoics would argue that nothing beneficial arises from surrendering your peace to another's unguarded tongue. Anger in their eyes was a thief, stealing moments of happiness and clarity, leaving emptiness in its wake. Could it be that by letting go of the need to retaliate, you actually gain more power, standing firm in a calm confidence that no one can breach? The Stoics assure us that real strength does not roar, it stands quietly unmoved by the passing storms of human folly. Modern Stoics add that in a world buzzing with tension and misunderstanding, your tranquility can be a guiding light, showing a better way to exist. Will you choose to be that light to illuminate a path free from the chains of anger, leading others to wonder at your composure? As you do, you become living proof that peace is stronger than any harsh word. How many times have you allowed your joy to be overshadowed by a single insult, as if one dark cloud could block out the entire sky of your happiness? The Stoics remind us that we hold the power to decide which clouds linger and which pass by unnoticed. If you determine that others' attempts to bother you are mere wisps of mist, easily dispersed by the warm sun of your balanced perspective, what then can trouble you? Imagine that no matter what others say, your inner climate remains mild-temperate and nurturing, unscarred by sudden storms of temper. The Stoics would celebrate this inner weather. Mastery, noting that we cannot control the world's climate, but we can control our response to it. Modern admirers of Stoicism suggest that this skill can be honed with patience, reflection, and consistent practice, forging a mind resilient to provocation. Will you learn to shape your inner landscape so that it remains fertile ground for growth, regardless of external conditions? In doing so, you reclaim the reins of your emotional experience. Never again a slave to the unpredictable forces beyond your control. Do you realize that the effort you invest in maintaining your peace pays dividends far greater than any satisfaction you might gain from lashing out? The Stoics believed that dignity, composure, and understanding yield richer rewards than any fleeting release of anger. If you treasure your well-being, then why forfeit it so easily at the hands of strangers or acquaintances who fail to measure their words? Consider that by preserving your calm, you become a stable presence in an unstable world, a source of quiet inspiration to those still caught in the whirlwind of reactivity. The Stoics would say that tranquility is a form of wealth, one not easily earned, but infinitely more valuable than possessions or praise. Modern Stoic voices concur, emphasizing that peace is a currency that never devalues, no matter how many insults pass through your life. Will you spend your days accumulating this inner richness, so solid and serene that no provocation can diminish it? Such wealth assures that you walk through life unburdened, choosing who you want to be regardless of others' noise. Have you wondered if the person who tries to offend you might actually be testing your strength, inadvertently helping you become more unshakable? The Stoics might suggest that life's irritations are like weights, and each encounter is an exercise in developing emotional muscle instead of resenting these encounters. Can you welcome them as chances to grow in patience and understanding? Each time you resist the impulse to retaliate, you become more aligned with the Stoic ideal of unwavering self-mastery. The Stoics remind us that nothing can injure your inner state unless you permit it. So, why give your power away so cheaply? Modern Stoics echo that self-control is the key to true freedom, liberating you from the tyranny of others' opinions. Will you see these moments as sparks that sharpen your mental blade rather than as blows that dull it? By doing so, you turn potential torment into steady improvement, ensuring that no matter what comes your way, you remain firmly in control. What if the next time someone tries to provoke you, you respond not with anger, but with a calm that puzzles them, a calm that makes them question their approach? The Stoics understood that unexpected composure in the face of hostility can diffuse tension faster than any angry retort. Could you not, through your unwavering grace, turn aggression into confusion, forcing the other to see their actions in a new light? By doing so, you lead by example, demonstrating that anger need not be the currency of human exchange. The Stoics believed that your measured response could inspire others to wreck. Consider their behavior like a quiet lesson imparted without words. Modern adherents agree that your refusal to be rattled is a subtle teaching, showing that peace is possible even in turbulent times. Will you become this quiet teacher guiding others toward understanding, simply by refusing to join in their anger? As you practice this art, you become a beacon, not only preserving your own calm, but shining it outward into a world hungry for kindness. Do you see how every chance encounter with rudeness can become a moment of self-discovery, revealing where you stand in your journey toward inner mastery. The Stoics taught that life's difficulties are mirrors, reflecting your character back at you, showing you where to grow and refine if you embrace these moments as lessons can. You greet them with gratitude rather than resentment, understanding that they help shape a stronger you. Each insult becomes a stepping stone toward greater patience, each irritation an opportunity to transcend the limits of your old reactions. The Stoics believe that by continually refining your responses, you create a life woven from calmness rather than knotted with tension. Modern Stoic thinkers suggest journaling. These encounters noting how you felt, how you responded, and how you might improve it next time. Will you treat these interactions as exercises in building a fortress of tranquility, rather than occasions for needless fury? Over time, you see that no words, no matter how cutting, can shake the foundation you have laid through reason and understanding when faced with an unkind remark. Do you pause long enough to see the situation clearly, or do you rush headlong into anger's embrace? The Stoics knew that clarity often arrives on the wings of patience, that a moment of reflection can mean the difference between discord and harmony. If you cultivate this pause, this tiny space of silence before responding, you grant yourself the freedom to choose. Calm over chaos, is it not a gift to yourself to maintain composure, to rise above the fray, and stay anchored in what truly matters? The Stoics would have you remember that no one can drag you into an argument unless you walk willingly beside them. Modern Stoics encourage meditation, deep breathing, and a conscious commitment to understanding rather than reacting. Will you allow these practices to strengthen your inner resolve so that when provoked, you remain untouched by anger's fire? In that stillness, you discover that peace is not merely a dream, but a living reality. You shape with each choice what if. Instead of viewing insults as personal affronts, you recognize them as misguided attempts to provoke pain, attempts that fail because you choose not to. Feel wounded. The Stoics held that no event or word is inherently harmful unless we judge it, so granting it power over our feelings. If you refuse to label these words as attacks, can you watch them drift by as harmless as fallen leaves, blown along a quiet street? Over time, this deliberate refusal to be hurt transforms your life, shielding you from the emotional turbulence that once troubled your days. The Stoics were certain that this skill, honed through practice and reflection, leads to a life of greater peace and purpose. Modern interpretations highlight that this is not suppression, but rather a healthy reframing, choosing not to invest in anger that bears no fruit. Will you cultivate this art of reframing, turning potential threats into gentle whispers that cannot disturb your calm? This path offers a liberation unlike any other, releasing you from patterns of irritation and granting you the freedom to remain yourself. Do you notice how anger narrows your vision, focusing your mind entirely on the perceived harm, preventing you from seeing the bigger picture of your own growth and happiness? The Stoics would caution that in moments of anger, the world shrinks to the size of a single insult, robbing you of perspective. By refusing to become angry, you broaden your horizon, allowing yourself to notice beauty, opportunity, and meaning beyond the petty scene. Are you willing to reclaim this wider view, to see that what once enraged you can become trivial, forgotten, and insignificant? With the passing of time, the Stoics remind us that life is precious and short, too fleeting to waste on emotional upheaval that serves no uplifting purpose. Modern Stoic teachers echo this truth, urging you to weigh each moment's worth, investing in calm understanding over heated conflict. Will you choose to see anger as a distraction from what truly matters, discarding it so you can focus on building a fulfilling life? In doing so, you not only overcome others' provocations, you transcend them, rising into a realm where peace pervades your every breath. How would it feel to step back from the drama of human interactions? Observing others attempts to incite you, as if watching a distant play whose outcome cannot disturb your calm. The Stoics often encouraged a kind of detachment, not to become cold or indifferent, but to maintain clarity and self-control. If you view insults as scenes in a performance unrelated to your essence, do they still have power? Soon you realize that these verbal jabs are just fleeting moments, not worth the cost of your serenity. The Stoics remind us that inner freedom is gained by not allowing external events to dictate our state of mind. Modern Stoics recommend training this perspective, practicing it daily until remaining composed is as natural as breathing. Will you adopt this vantage point, turning potential conflict into opportunities to remain untroubled, unwavering in your resolve with time? You find that you walk through the world lightly unburdened by others' attempts to provoke have. You ever smiled inwardly when someone tried to provoke you, knowing their efforts were doomed from the start? Unable to crack your shield of peace, the Stoics would commend such a response for. It shows you have reclaimed your power to interpret, to respond, and not to be a slave to provocation. If an insult is met with calm neutrality, does it not lose its very purpose, dissolving into futility? You may find that those who try to anger you tire of their attempts, baffled by your unwavering tranquility. The Stoics teach that true mastery of self renders you impervious to such petty intrusions. Modern practitioners confirm that as this skill grows, you no longer fear confrontation, for you know it cannot shake your core will. You reach this state where every attempt to disturb your calm only reveals the depth of your poise in this steady presence. You discover that anger is not only avoidable, but completely unnecessary. What if anger were like a locked door you can choose not to open no matter how persistently? Someone knocks. The Stoics understood that we hold the keys to our reactions and that no one can force us to respond. With fury, could you become the keeper of that key, choosing whether to open or keep it locked against intrusions of negativity by standing guard over your emotional fortress? You ensure that no one's words can break your harmony. The Stoics believed that this freedom is your birthright, if only you cultivate it through reason, practice, and reflection. Modern Stoics highlight that our minds, like muscles, strengthen with each intentional choice. To remain calm, will you keep your door locked against anger, protecting the sanctity of your internal peace? In doing so, you become not a victim of others' words, but a master of your own emotional destiny. Do you feel the subtle difference between suppressing anger and genuinely not experiencing it, between swallowing bitterness and never tasting it at all? The Stoic aimed not merely to stifle anger, but to prevent it from arising by changing the lens through which we view insults. If you truly grasp that insults reflect more about the speaker than about you, can you bypass the emotional poison altogether? This shift transforms your emotional landscape, ensuring that anger does not just hide but evaporates before it forms. The Stoics assure us that a mind well schooled in reason and compassion leaves little room for irrational fury. Modern Stoic approaches agree, suggesting that emotional freedom arises naturally when you trust that no external slight can diminish your inner value. Will you adopt this understanding and free yourself entirely from anger's grip, rather than merely restraining it? Such freedom promises a life of likeness, where even attempts to offend you pass unnoticed, leaving you untroubled and whole. How often do we forget that we are not obliged to react according to others' expectations, that our feelings need not be puppets pulled by their strings? The Stoics emphasize that our emotions follow our judgments, and our judgments are under our command. If you refuse to judge an insult as harmful or significant, can it still cause you pain? Soon you realize that without your consent, anger cannot bloom, remaining a dormant seed that never sees the sun. The Stoics champion this autonomy, urging us to celebrate the freedom to define our own emotional reality. Modern Stoics echo the power in choosing your frame of reference, shaping a world where irritation finds no foothold. Will you remember this freedom, allowing each passing slight to fade into the background of your well-tended mind? With this memory, you inhabit a realm where you are no longer a marionette of other people's words, but a composer of your own emotional symphony. When you consider the vastness of existence, the intricacy of your life's journey, are you willing to let a few harsh words steal your peace? The Stoics advise that we weigh our reactions against the backdrop of life's brevity, recognizing that moments of anger are time squandered if you cherish the finite hours you have. Can you afford to waste them, seething over another's careless speech? Imagine transforming that energy into patience, understanding, or creative expression, ensuring that every breath moves you toward greater fulfillment. The Stoics believe that each decision to remain calm is a gift to yourself, preserving your vitality. For endeavors that truly matter, modern Stoics reinforce that anger drains your life force while equanimity enriches it. Will you preserve your energy, investing it in growth rather than discord? In this shift, you find that peace is not just a noble ideal, but a practical life-sustaining choice. Do you see how the art of never getting angry or bothered by anyone rests not in controlling others, but in governing yourself? The Stoics taught that external events lie beyond your control, yet your response lies fully within it. If you focus on shaping your inner world, does the outer turmoil still hold any claim on your serenity as you develop this mastery? You detach from the illusion that others dictate your emotions, stepping firmly into the truth that you alone sculpt your feelings. The Stoics welcomed this responsibility, for it grants immense freedom and independence. Modern Stoics celebrate this empowerment, reminding you that you have all you need to remain calm and clear-minded. Will you embrace the role of creator in your emotional life, no longer blaming circumstances for your turmoil? Within that choice, you realize that anger's chains were never truly locked, and you walk away. Unbound, can you perceive how not being bothered by anyone is not a static state, but a skill developed through steady practice, reflection, and adjustment? The Stoics recognize that no one is born perfectly composed, but all can learn through patient effort. If you stumble and feel anger rise, can you use that moment as a lesson rather than a defeat? Over time, these lessons accumulate, guiding you toward a state of increasingly effortless calm. The Stoics understood that mastery is not a destination, but a journey, each step guided by reason and understanding. Modern Stoics encourage you to journal your progress, celebrate your successes, and understand your setbacks as part of the growth. Will you commit to this process, accepting that perfection is not required, only consistent dedication? In doing so, you shape a life where anger gradually fades, leaving room for richer experiences and deeper peace. When you realize that anger is optional, that you can choose a path, does it not feel liberating, like discovering a hidden door in a familiar room? The Stoics would say that by revealing this door, you open yourself to freedom, stepping into a space where external irritations cannot dictate your moods. If you walk through this door, leaving behind the cramped quarters of habitual reactivity, do you see a landscape of infinite possibility unfolding? Each situation that once sparked fury now becomes a quiet invitation to remain grounded, to stand unshaken in your truth. The Stoics reveled in this liberation, for it placed the reins of life firmly back in your hands. Modern Stoics confirm that this shift in perspective can alter your relationships, your work, and your entire experience of existence. Will you walk through this door, embracing the calm that awaits you? The moment you decide, you find that anger's chains dissolve, replaced by a gentle, empowering calm. If anger is a flame that consumes your energy and darkens your vision, what happens when you deny it fuel? The Stoics would say that the flame weakens, flickers, and ultimately dies out, leaving you in welcome darkness, where you can finally see the stars. If you let anger starve, can you now navigate by gentler lights, patience, kindness, empathy that guide you toward more fulfilling interactions? Soon, you find that these virtues shine brighter without anger's glare, illuminating choices that support your long-term well-being. The Stoics celebrated this newfound clarity for it brings wisdom unclouded by emotional storms. Modern Stoics agree that denying anger its sustenance frees you to chart a course based on rational understanding and compassionate insight. Will you let the old fires burn down to embers, revealing the calm landscape beneath? In that stillness, you discover that the path to serenity has always been yours to walk. Consider that never being bothered by anyone does not mean you never care. Rather, it means you care enough about your peace to protect it wisely. The Stoics never suggested callousness or indifference, only that you not squander your inner harmony on worthless battles. If you refrain from anger, can you still offer genuine help, support, and guidance? Perhaps even more effectively than when clouded by rage. You find that clarity of mind enhances your capacity for compassion, enabling you to address problems thoughtfully rather than reactively. The Stoics valued reason above all, knowing that a calm mind can solve challenges that fury only intends. Ifies modern Stoics reiterate that kindness born of balanced understanding can heal more wounds than anger ever could. Will you choose this path, realizing that serenity and care are not opposites, but allies in creating a harmonious life? By doing so, you wield a gentle strength that transforms both yourself and the world around you. How would it feel to look back on your life and see that no one ever truly took your peace, that you walked through countless provocations yet remained whole and steady? The Stoics imagined that reflecting on such a life would bring pride not in a vain sense, but in the quiet assurance that you lived wisely, if you never again yield your calm to others. Reckless words might. You find that your days flow more smoothly, your nights rest more peacefully over time. This serenity becomes second nature, a sturdy pillar supporting every endeavor you undertake. The Stoics encouraged envisioning the future self you wish to be and acting in accordance with that vision. Now modern Stoics recommend the same, reminding you that today's choices create tomorrow's reality. Will you envision a future free of anger's grasp and begin living that reality? Now, as you do, you'll align with an ancient lineage of wisdom, carrying their timeless lessons into your everyday life. Do you see that the act of never getting angry or bothered by anyone is not passive resignation, but active liberation, a deliberate practice of emotional sovereignty? The Stoics taught that mastery of self is the highest freedom, surpassing any external gain. If you cherish freedom, can you afford to let anger enslave you to outside influences by refusing to be provoked? You declare independence from the whims of other people's moods. The Stoics would applaud such courage, for it requires perseverance, insight, and a willingness to transcend old habits. Modern Stoics echo that this freedom is both subtle and profound, improving every dimension of your life. Will you embrace this liberation, acknowledging that no one can control your inner state unless you grant them permission? In doing so, though, you stand tall, unbound, and undeniably free as you embrace the path of calm resilience. Do you realize that anger once seemed inevitable but now appears merely optional? A choice you need not make. The Stoics reveal that what once felt natural can be unlearned, replaced with healthier patterns of thought. if you can choose rational calm over emotional upheaval? Are you not enriching your life with wisdom and grace? Each time you resist anger, you strengthen your capacity for clear thinking and compassionate action. The Stoics celebrate this growth as a testament to human potential, the mind's ability to evolve. Beyond reactive impulses, modern Stoics encourage reflection on your progress, noting how far you've come from old reflexes. Will you celebrate these victories, no matter how small, and continue refining your ability to remain unbothered in acknowledging your growth? You affirm that you are capable of limitless transformation, shaping a life far richer than one chained to anger. When you understand that the Stoics themselves were human, prone to mistakes, yet persevered in mastering their inner worlds, do you take heart that you too can succeed? They faced insults, hardships, and misunderstandings, yet their legacy is not of rage, but of poise. If they could navigate life's thorns without surrendering to anger, can you not do the same with their wisdom, as your guide as you embrace their teachings, old and new? You stand on the shoulders of giants who showed that peace is possible. Even amidst chaos, the Stoics invite you to join this lineage, adding your calm presence to their timeless tradition, while modern practitioners walk beside you, sharing insights and encouraging patience as you hone your craft. Will you accept their invitation, knowing that you are never alone on this path with them? At your side, you walk steadily, shielded from the arrows of insult by the armor of reason and understanding. Have you realized by now that how you respond to others is a reflection of who you are, not who they are, and thus, within your realm of influence, the Stoics emphasize that your character is defined by your reactions, your chosen course in the face of adversity. If you prioritize kindness, patience, and unwavering calm, can anyone force you to abandon these values? You find they cannot, for those values are yours to uphold, regardless of external provocation. The Stoics believed that living in harmony with your principles ensures that you remain authentic, consistent, and at peace. Modern Stoics reinforce that nothing and no one can strip you of your core virtues unless you willingly discard them. Will you protect these values, cherishing them as your most precious possession? In doing so, you recognize that anger is not merely avoidable, but wholly incompatible with the life you choose to lead. Imagine the relief of knowing that no matter what anyone says or does, you carry within you a serenity, untouched by their turbulence. The Stoics entrusted us with this knowledge, revealing that peace is not a gift others bestow, but a state we cultivate. If you nurture this inner calm, can others truly shake it? Or do their attempts simply expose their own unrest? Soon, you see that their words bounce harmlessly off the shield of your understanding, falling away unused. The Stoics considered this emotional resilience as one of life's greatest achievements. Modern Stoics too celebrate it, seeing in it the potential for a more harmonious, compassionate world. Will you stand in this space of quiet strength, untouched by external commotion? In that stance, you affirm that anger's era is over, replaced by a steady calm that nothing and no one can disturb.